White. Wide open, Torrence! Oh, baby! Touchdown! How do you leave the best receiver in the NAIA that wide open?
You show, and that's what we do! Cat!
You're proud of me?
And it's caught! Oh my goodness! Troy Torrence comes down with it!
Welcome all to Bankroll Blitz Season 2. Sadly, this is our season finale. Thank you so much for watching us here on Pub Sports Radio. My name is Jimmy the Bag, and I am here alongside my co-host, Troy Torrence, as there's only 3 games left in the NFL season. Troy, my man, how are you?
Truly experiencing the highs and the lows, and right now I'm just about neutral on the season. 2.14 units, all the way back to damn near flat. So, hey, it's the nature of the beast. So I'm ready to get after it.
Well, we both got hurt badly this weekend. I lost 2 bets by a half point. Those same 2 bets you lost by a half point. That's Texans plus 8.5 and the Baltimore Buffalo under 51.5. That hurt. Rams plus 6 was a push for me, so I didn't get that cash. It was tough, very, very tough. Worst week of the year, bad timing for it. Although, I'm not betting any more than I was betting in the regular season. These are 1-unit bets, so it's not as devastating as it could be. 1-6 down 5.53 units for me. Worst week of the year. Texans plus 8.5 was a loss. Houston, Kansas City under 42 cash. When the Texans were lining up for the field goal, I'm about to open up 2-0. I'm about to be in a great, great situation. But of course, that field goal is blocked. Lions double result with the Chiefs. Lions double result with the Eagles. Loss. Washington, Detroit under 55.5 was horrific. I didn't get enough of it back, but I did cash under 79.5 alive. But LA Rams, Philadelphia under 44 was a loss. Baltimore Buffalo under 51.5 was a loss. Very disappointing. Very disappointing. 1-6 down 5.53 units. And then Troy, even in 4 games, you were still able to make 20 bets, which is very impressive.
Well, you get a lot of time. So I think I had, how many props did I have this weekend?
You had a lot. Let's go over them. So your Texas first half, if you look at the stats, there's just, how did you not
stats, man? The first half, the full game, just fucking devastating to not be able to cover those.
Mixing over 74.5 rushing receiving you got. Then anything you had tied with the Lions, of course, fell off. Lions minus 2.5.
That was the one game I truly feel like I was on the wrong side. That's the one I was on 4 sides. All 4 of the sides I was on, could have maybe 50-50. The expected outcome's probably 50-50 in those situations. I go 0-4.
Well, when I read out some of these stats from last week, and we won't spend much time talking about last week, but You'll get even more upset. It's a wild, wild circumstance here with the Ravens as well. Ravens, Texans, but we'll get into that. Detroit minus 2.5, Philadelphia is a loser. Lions double result, loser. Lions double result with Philadelphia, loser. Lions minus 8.5, loser. And Jameson Williams over 55.5 receiving yards. How did he not get there?
Yeah, there was a bunch of deep balls that just brushed off the edge of his fingertips. Luckily, Jahmyr Gibbs came around and put up a shit ton of receiving yards.
And you had him for over 23.5 receiving. And then you had your 40-plus receiving with Gibbs at plus 240. So that was an important score for you.
That goes back to Brizzy. Brizzy gave me the confidence to go back to some of that. Last year, I looked at my record, and there was so many plus money props that I hit that definitely gave me a boost.
Oh, it worked. Eagles double result, cash. Eagles minus 5.5, cash. You push the Eagles minus 6. The Philadelphia minus 1, the under 49.5. You lose that by a half point. It's another one you lost by a half point. Puka Nacua under 80.5 receiving yards. Ravens money line, Ravens minus 1, the under 51.5 were losers. And then you cashed Bateman over 41.5, and you bet it again over 44.5. So for you went 7-12 down 5.55 units. I went 1-6 down 5.53 units. A debacle. And we have one more show to make up for it, and I hope and plan on doing that right here and right now. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We've got Colton in the house, Kent Davies, Nuke Worker, Dennis Garcia says everyone's 3 favorite words: fly, Eagles, fly. Ken Davies says he won 800 playing poker at Tampa Bay Downs last night. Says, don't worry, I'll order everyone drinks and cheese sticks in San Antonio. We have the best chicken wings in Texas at Southtown 101 and burgers. So I'm excited about that. We got the new worker in the house, Joe Walsh, ready to get to work. Nasty Nate, ready to go. Wine Time Sports, Harold Williams. Great to see all of you guys. Great to see all of you guys. It is time to get to work. New worker trend that we will be talking about throughout says teams that played on Saturday, which means they get one extra day of rest. I've gone 20-10 in the conference title round. I have all those stats and more, and I'm ready to rock here with you guys. Rants in the house. Troy, are you ready to get to work, my friend?
Let's do it, man.
We start on Sunday. Now, we are also still doing NFL Pub Hub on Saturday. We're doing NFL Pub Hub Saturday right after the starting five, so that will continue for this final week of the year. Dougie Wise with the free bands play of the day. Eagles -5.5, 3-unit max play for Dougie Wise.
That's something I should call out. Ken Davies was saying I'm a betting maniac, but 1 unit for me is less than 1% of my bankroll. So I think it's around 0.67 right now. So I'm just, I have the ability to fire off volume, take these drastic swings, and not feel the overall impact, even though I still feel the overall impact. It's not because my accounts are looking shabby. So
yeah, it's not because your accounts
are
relative. Yeah,
it's
no, absolutely. And absolutely. And Ken Davies is a real gambler. So as much as he says that, he says right under it, I respect it, So
I love
it. Let's roll here. Washington Commanders 12-5, 5-3 on the road this regular season. Of course, Philadelphia Eagles 14-3, 8-1 at home at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. What a fascinating cap this is. Extremely enjoyable. 39 Fahrenheit, cloudy, 10-mile-per-hour winds. Let's get into the line history here. We've had a move towards Philadelphia. Some of it was predicated on some concern about Jalen Hurts in that knee injury, which he squashed as soon as he was interviewed after the game. That line immediately moved towards the Eagles when he said he was fine and will be in the lineup. This opened up at 4.5 at a pick'em. This was on Sunday at 7:04 p.m. 4.5 at a pick'em. Immediately started moving. Actually, it didn't until about 10 o'clock at night. But as soon as Jalen Hurts said he was fine, started moving. This got to 5 yesterday morning, and that was a juiced 5. It got to 5.5 yesterday afternoon. Right now, we have sixes across the board. I'm looking at a 5.5, but it's -116 towards the Eagles, and it's +103 if you want the Commanders at that number. So a clear market move towards the Philadelphia Eagles. This total is 47.5 or 48, depending on where you shop. This has moved 1 cent towards the under since it came out here offshore. Let's get into the cash flow for this spot. Looks like I have to bring it up. I put it away here for a second. Take a look at the cash flow for this one. And we have 34% of the tickets and 46% of the cash on the Eagles. It certainly feels like the sharp action is on the Philadelphia Eagles. On the total, we have 86% of tickets and 86% cash on the over. And I'm very interested in the under. Let's start with the Washington Commanders here. But please also know for you guys that I have, as does Troy, but I have $500 on the Eagles to win the NFC at +600. It's all of my futures were season win total in division, except for this one. This is my last future. It's my only future left. It's my only future that was conference or Super Bowl related.
I was supposed to actually probably include that because I just took a loss on my first future, which is what's it called? The Ravens to win the AFC. So that's not reflected in my record, but I'll definitely have that reflected when it's all said and done.
Cool. No, that sounds good. So I've got a big score sitting and waiting for me. And the plan right now is to not do anything, to not hedge at all, not middle at all. I feel like having the Eagles money line at +600 for $500, basically, which is a situation I have myself. It's a pretty wonderful situation. That's the plan right now, and that can change as we discuss here. So let's roll. Dennis Garcia says Philly whipped Washington once. They were 14-0 the second time. Then Hurts got hurt. 10,000 things went right for Washington that game. There's a class difference here. Philly by margin. I agree with that as well. Let's roll here. We're going to start with the Commanders. I'm going to talk about the Commanders, hand it over to Troy, and then we'll go into the Eagles. So for the Commanders here, passing offense this year, including the playoffs, 13th, 222.7 yards per game. Rushing offense, 3rd, 151.7 yards per game. Red zone offense, 6th. They score touchdowns 63.8% of the time, and their third down offense is sixth as well, 45.5% of the time. But those of you who watch the Commanders know it's the fourth down that you got to worry about this team. 82% conversion rate on fourth down, and everybody watching the game knows that Jaden Daniels is going to run a naked bootleg to the sidelines, but the opposing coaches and the spies don't seem to know. Can be pretty frustrating if you are fading those Commanders. Pass defense is fifth in the league. They allow 196 yards per game, and the rush defense is a problem. 30th in the league, allowing 138.9 yards per game. This is a wrong team to be facing. Now, you could have said the same thing about the Lions, and they handled that well. We're going to get into all of that. Red zone defense, 21st at 59.7%. Third down defense, 15th, 38.7%. And their sacks, 2.4 per game. They got better as the season went on. So underdogs have been winning in the playoffs. We watched the favorites win at an unprecedented rate during the regular season, and underdogs are now 7-3 against the spread in the playoffs. Underdogs went 4-0 on the closing line in the divisional round. That's the third time. That's only the third time that's happened in NFL history. That's the first time since 2007. Underdogs since 2003 in the conference championships are 20-22 against the spread. This is the only round of the playoffs where underdogs are below 500 in that span. Since 1966, the Super Bowl era, underdogs are 53-62-1 in the conference championship. Commanders have reached the NFC Championship for the first time in 33 years since winning their third Super Bowl long ago. They were 150-1 to win the Super Bowl in the preseason. Before the Commanders reached the conference finals as a 150-1 dog, there have only been 3 teams that have reached the conference finals as a 150-1 dog. And you will certainly remember 2 of them. 1999 Rams won the Super Bowl 23-16 over the Titans. The 2021 Bengals lost the Super Bowl to the Rams, 23-20. And then the freak or outlier, the 1979 Buccaneers. They were just 3 years into their existence. They made the NFC final. They lost 9-0. It's widely known as the dullest conference final game in NFL history, a 9-0 loss they took. If Washington wins here, they'll join the 2008 Giants, New York Giants, of course, the David Tyree catch off the head, as the only team to win as underdogs in 3 straight playoff games entering a Super Bowl. Only one team has ever done that. Washington comes in off their 7th straight win, 45-31 at Detroit on Saturday. 15 teams have entered the conference final on a 7 or more game winning streak since 2004. Those teams are 4-11 against the spread. It doesn't seem to be helping when you get to the conference finals. They're failing to cover the spread by 4.5 points per game. The Commanders were outgained 521-481 by the Detroit Lions, but they won the turnover battle 5-0. This will be their 4th straight road game. Very, very difficult. And we're going to be dealing with the exact opposite when we talk about the Eagles. The Commanders will be the 8th team since 2000 to enter a playoff game on the 4th game or later of a road trip. The previous 7 teams all lost and went 1-5-1 against the spread. This Commanders offense looked excellent against the Lions. Jaden Daniels was 22-31 for 299 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He also ran 16 times for 51 yards. He became the second rookie quarterback to beat a top-seeded team. Joe Flacco did that in 2009. De'Ami Brown caught 6 passes for 98 yards. Terry McLaurin caught 4 for 87 and a touchdown. Brian Robinson ran 15 times for 77 yards and 2 touchdowns. He'd been doing nothing in previous weeks. And Austin Eckler ran 6 times for 47 yards, caught 4 passes for 41 yards. They were a perfect 4 for 4 in the red zone. And we know that this year their red zone ability got better and better as the season went on. They were just 4 of 12 on third down, but again, 3 of 4 on fourth down as they're phenomenal at that. The defense bent but didn't break. They allowed 7.7 yards per play. 7.7 yards per play, but held the Lions to 3 of 9 on third down, 3 of 6 in the red zone. Pass rush finished with 2 sacks, 7 quarterback hits. Mike Sanders still had 2 interceptions. Quaz Martin and Jeremy Chin each had 1. They lose Sam Cosmi. It's a big loss. On the offensive line, they lose their guard. Dan Quinn said Sunday he's going to miss the remainder of the playoffs. He sustained a torn ACL. Cosme is a phenomenal guard. The 4th most pass block snaps for any guard this year. Of 51 guards with at least 500 plus pass block snaps, he was one of just 11 to allow 1 sack or fewer. That's who's not going to be there this week and for the remainder. The Commanders, as was mentioned by our new cooker, and they're not the only team that has this, the Chiefs as well, have a 1-day rest advantage. Commanders have a 1-day rest advantage on the Eagles. That's been very helpful. Since 03-04, teams with a rest advantage are 26-16 straight up in the conference championship. Jaden Daniels will be the 6th rookie quarterback to start a conference championship game. The 6th rookie quarterback to start a conference championship game. The 5 that have come before him all lost. They combined for 4 passing touchdowns and 9 interceptions. No rookie quarterback has ever made the Super Bowl. The Commanders are the 6th seed. Since 1990, there have been 4 6th seeds entering the conference finals as dogs of 4 or more points. They all didn't cover. 0-4 against the spread. Here's another interesting point. Washington has not turned the ball over 1 time over their first 2 playoff games. This will be even crazier when we talk about the Chiefs, who haven't turned the ball over in 8 straight games. Even when they lost 38-0, the Chiefs didn't turn the ball over, but we'll get to that. Washington's not turned the ball over 1 time over their first 2 playoff games, and the Eagles have forced 6 turnovers through 2 games. So, Washington beat the Bucs in the wild card round. The Bucs allow the 3rd most yards in the league through the air. Then they defeated the Lions last week. The Lions give up the 2nd most passing yards in the league. Enter the Philadelphia Eagles, who allow the 2nd least passing yards through the air. Now, we know Daniels threw for 5 touchdowns against the Eagles in Week 16, but I really think that only helps the Eagles. It doesn't hurt them. They know that they've been taken to the woodshed by Jaden Daniels, and that will... I expect Fangio will have the best foot forward. Take it away for us, Troy. The biggest dog left, your Washington Commanders.
Jimmy, you just did an excellent job. In another life, you were a salesman, I guarantee you, because you just put together a great story, and it's leading me right down the path that I want to go. I mean, I don't know how many weeks consecutive I can come on here and say that the Commanders are a fraudulent team for some time now. Now, I'm starting to walk that back a little bit because, like, Polo this, Polo that's pointing out in the chat, Jaden Daniels just seems to defy all the odds, all the stats. He just continues to put up these miraculous performances, and they're miraculous, and I don't think they're a fluke. Like, I think the kid's a great quarterback. He's going to be here for a while. But it's not when, or it's not if it's going to happen. It's when it's going to happen. There's no way you can continue to be this efficient, especially on 3rd and 4th down, particularly 4th down, where he's posting just miraculous historic numbers. You look at EPA added per play, you look at points requiring 4th down conversions, you look at just conversion rate in general, and it's just not sustainable. They're the best team, or they have the best metrics on 4th down, and all those numbers I just said, not just by a little bit. We're talking about 1 or 2 standard deviations away. We're talking about a complete outlier. And they're catering to that 4th down offense by scheming and calling plays to, at least get them in that vicinity. And there's no doubt on 4th down that they're going to be going for it. And the reason I'm walking it back, like I said, Jaden Daniels, like, he's been incredible. He's posted 110 and 122 passer rating in his first 2 playoff games, which is really impressive. And this is where I was about to go take it exactly where you took it, Jimmy, with the defenses that they've played and the drastic difference in the defense and the scheme that they're going to be seeing this week. Jaden Daniels' mobility can only be replicated by Lamar Jackson in the league. Very impressive. He's 1 of 2 from that standpoint. But I think really where Jaden Daniels differentiates himself, especially from other rookies and even other quarterbacks in general, is just his calm demeanor. Like, he seems so comfortable out there. He's, he knows he belongs out there. And, he's proven that week in and week out. It's not Jaden Daniels that makes this team fraudulent. There are some metrics about the offense that make it fraudulent, but it's the supporting cast overall. The defense in general just grades out overall per PFF is 29th with the 2nd easiest strength of schedule. Basically, everything we talk about the Commanders has to be at the top of the the list that kind of umbrellas over everything else is their easy strength of schedule. The offensive line grades out as 22nd and 29th in run block. Daniels does relieve a lot of pressure from that standpoint, but the Commanders have absolutely no traditional running game. They cannot turn around and hand the ball off. They're not generating line yards. Brian Robinson's struggling, and he's going to struggle even more versus this Eagles defense, especially without their guard, who's going to be on the other side of that. And you look at this game against the Lions, it was impressive. Like I said earlier in the show, that I had four sides. The one side that I was truly on the wrong side of was this Lions game. I'm not going to lie about that. But if you look at the game, just play by play by play, what do you find? Well, the first thing I found when I rewatched the game is that the game completely flipped. The trajectory of the game completely flipped on a 3rd and 1, Lions in the red zone, up 7-3, and they decide to throw the ball. They're averaging 8 yards a carry. They decide to throw the ball on 3rd and 1, strip sack, and the game never looked the same from that moment. Terrible play calling. I think there's numerous mishaps and multiple coaching mistakes from a coaching staff that we thought was incredible going into this game. I just talked about the 3rd and 1. They straight drop pass, not even a play action. 8 yards per carry. They fumble the ball. Down 10 in the third quarter, they run a double reverse pass. When you're down 10 in the fourth, like, who are you fooling with a double reverse pass? And not only that, you're giving it to a guy with who I perceive to have a very low IQ to be able to make a read and deliver a pass and not put the ball in harm's way. That's unacceptable to me. But the worst mistake, clear as day, fourth and goal from the 2-yard line, close game. Like, this changes the trajectory of the game. They get the stop on the 4th down. They can go down the field and get the lead. They have 12 men on the field. Insane mistakes. And that was coming off of I think that was the start of the 4th quarter. Like, they had time down. It was like coming off of a timeout and you have 12 men on the field. How in the world does that happen? Call me biased. Call me whatever you want. I see a lot of asterisks around this game too, just like the rest of their season. We can go, how many games have they won? This is the first time they won a game since September where it didn't come down to the very last play of the game. They allowed 521 total yards, 7.7 yards per play. We're less efficient on offense. And the offense for the Commanders still looked really good, because that was against the Lions, and the week before that it was against the Bucs. I'm ready to talk about the Eagles.
I'm very much ready to talk about the Eagles here. I mean, I looked at different ways to bet them, and what does a $300 bet mean when you have 3,000 that you're about to make? I looked at double result. I looked at them on the spread. It also makes me not even really want to move on the total, which I am interested in the under. Let's talk about the Eagles. Passing offense, 31st, second worst yards wise in the NFL, 177.9 yards per game, but their second rushing offense, 184.3 yards per game. 21st in the red zone, 54.1%. A bit of a surprise. Third down offense, 10th in the league at 40.6% conversion rate. Passing defense, second, 181.4. Rush defense, 9th. 104.7. Their red zone defense is 5th in the league. They allow touchdowns 48.2% of the time. Their third down defense is 9th in the league. They allow conversions 36.7% of the time. And they also average 2.5 sacks per game. Washington 2.4. So the Eagles are in the NFC Championship game for the second time in 3 years. While the Commanders have been playing on the road each week, the Eagles will be playing their 5th consecutive game at home. The Eagles are the 10th team to play 4 or more consecutive home games entering a conference championship over the last 20 years. Those 9 teams are just 5-4 against the spread and 7-2 straight up. So maybe not as advantageous as one might be led to believe. The Eagles come in off a 28-22 victory at home over the Rams. Jalen Hurts was 15 of 20 for 128 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. He also ran 7 times for 70 yards and a touchdown. He has only passed for 259 yards through 2 games. Only 3 teams in the history of the NFL playoffs have ever won consecutive playoff games throwing for under 150 each in each. Those 3 teams all lost their next football game. His mobility looked to be hampered.
How many of those teams were favorites of 6 points, I wonder? Probably none.
That's a good point that I will look into. It's a good point. But his mobility did seem to be a little different when he had the knee brace on. Now, he didn't miss any snaps. He was sacked 7 times.
And I'm going to forget to touch on that if I just let you continue there. So he definitely didn't run. They didn't run him. He had that double, what seemed to be like a double knee contusion where he kind of tweaked both knees in one play. But he was able to play action, get outside of the pocket, and still look as mobile as he usually is, but he didn't carry the ball.
That's true. No, that's legit. Goddard led receivers with 4 catches for 56 yards. It was another quiet game for Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown. The two combined for 6 catches for 35 yards. Saquon Barkley was a monster yet again. 26 carries for 205 yards, 2 touchdowns, caught 4 for 27. The offense put up 28 points despite going just 0 for 2 in the red zone. The defense was strong. Now, they still allowed the Rams to put up 402 yards, but the pass rush had 5 sacks and 6 quarterback hits. They held the Rams to 6 of 16 on third down and held them to just 2 of 5 in the red zone. They lose quarterback Quinion Mitchell to a shoulder injury. It's believed that he avoided a major injury. He's listed as questionable to go this week. If he's unable to go, Isaiah Rodgers will be filling that spot. This will be the 3rd time these teams have faced each other this year. Since 2004, in the 3rd meeting between two teams, the road team is 18-11-1 against the spread. That surprised me, but I don't put every game is a unique situation. I almost left that stat out. Jalen Hurts has never lost at home in the playoffs. He's 4-0. He's 3-1 against the spread. As a home favorite in his career, he's been phenomenal. 25-3 straight up. Teams that are 6 or more point favorites are 13-3 in the conference finals. Now, that's just straight up. So for me, why risk anything? Why hedge anything? Why middle anything? I don't see. I mean, do I really want to put $1,000 or something like that on Washington +6 when it's not a spot I really believe in? Just so I and also, as some of you, not all of you know this, but I have to send in my futures at the end of the season with my local. I haven't sent in any of my regular season futures, and I went 7-4 on those futures. I'm in great shape. I lose this bet, $500. I'm still in the black with my NFL futures. I'm still getting paid. So I see no reason to risk anything here, except I'm interested in the under, and I do want you to touch on that. Sean Hockley is the main official for this game. And he is the 2nd best official to the under since 2018. For those of you keeping notes on this stuff, it's Bill Vinovich has the most unders of any main official. Hockley is 63, 45-3 to unders, hitting at 58%. Take it away, Troy. Philadelphia Eagles.
I would like to see the correlation between holding calls and the under, because I think they'd be highly correlated. Insert the Eagles after seeing, we just talked about the Lions and the Buccaneers defense. Insert the Eagles, who are familiar with Washington wants to do on offense. You have Vic Fangio, who I don't know who you trust more at this point to be able to put together a scheme to limit what the Washington Commanders want to do on offense. And we know offensively, this Eagles team on both sides of the ball, I'm not going to say just offensively, both sides of the ball are going to have their way in the trenches, especially with the Commanders down their best guy. And their best guy who would be matched up with the best guy on the other side, who just continues to game wreck with Jalen Carter in the middle there. He is an absolute problem playing the 1-3 technique. I would never want to run inside zone at that point. So it's going to be all outside, where the Eagles have been completely in just dominating fashion, stifling offenses. And what I did was I spent a lot of time kind of looking back at the first 2 matchups, because you kind of had a night and day difference of what these teams – you can't really look offensively, because both times when Jalen Hurts was in the lineup, the offense was just rolling for the Eagles. I expect the offense to be able to generate points, be it on the ground, be it through the air. If they put too many assets, if they put 9 in the box, they're going to leave themselves exposed. I trust Jalen Hurts to be able to throw the ball downfield accurately and put the ball right on A.J. Brown, who was just, dropped that pass, but to be able to do that more frequently if you add 9 to the box, like he did that exact play. Game 1, Philly dominated. They outgained Commanders by 2 yards per play, 434 total yards of offense, 5.7 yards per carry. They went 9 of 16 on third down. Washington went 3 of 12. That was in Philly. That was with a full game of Jalen Hurts. In Game 2, it was in Washington. The weather was actually a little bit better. So, it was colder in Game 1. It was at night. It was going to be – it's more like kind of what we're going to see this matchup in Game 1. But Game 2, Philly was dominating, up 14-0, and then Hurts goes out. Philly had the ball at that point too. Washington, let's talk about their offense that game because they put up 36 points, right? They did what nobody else was able to do throughout the season on this Eagles defense, and the Eagles defense wasn't down anybody. So what happened with this defensive performance? Let's go through their scoring drives. The first touchdown that the Washington Commanders had in that game came off an interception from Pickett on their own 25-yard line that set them in perfect position, a little change of scenery, and they were able to push it in, got a touchdown. The second touchdown, Jaden Daniels had a scramble on 4th and 4, and there was just a blown play by Nakobe Dean, who I'm very concerned about not having because he was great in the first 2 matchups. Jaden Daniels had a 4th and 4 conversion, late in that drive, but they also had a 51-yard bomb to Brown and a 32-yard bomb on 3rd and 8. The third touchdown, a Daniel scramble on 4th and 11. Desperation, go for it at midfield, scramble. He converts it. They converted on 3rd down twice that drive. More like that just seems so unsustainable. Then the 4th touchdown, they caught Philly with a no huddle, 12 men on the field, free play. One-on-one, 49-yard touchdown pass. Defense got caught completely off guard. For that offensive performance, there was nothing down to down that was impressive at all. There was some great deep balls that were thrown by Jaden Daniels. It was Jaden Daniels being able to use his legs. It's as a defensive coordinator, you're going to be able to scheme against this. I think you're going to see Vic Fangio play a lot of cover 6, cover 3, a lot of zone defense where that corner is just going to play don't get beat deep football. And I think we're going to see a little bit less cross match this game with the ability of Jaden Daniels to be able to use his legs and get out of the pocket. But this defense is so good. I mean, this is the best coverage unit in the NFL. Props to Fangio. In this game, they do not want to give anything out over the top. I think that they have great personnel to be able to handle Jaden Daniels, especially in the pocket. You have Nolan Smith, who's an edge rusher who runs a 4.39, the fastest edge rusher in the game. He's going to be used as a spy. I'm sure he's going to have a little pass rush. I don't think we're going to see the traditional pass rush this week. I think you're going to see a lot of contain type of pass rush. You have more speed on the edge on the other side with Josh Sweat. Nakobe Dean being out is huge, and I definitely have concerns about that because he's a speedy linebacker that could do anything from cover, stop the run, QB spy. He could do anything. He was a jack of all trades. So not having him is huge, but you still got a dog over there in Vaughn. And I think it's going to be a team effort. We're going to see cover 3. We're going to see cover 6. Don't give up the deep ball. And then I think you'll see the rare surprise with cross match with man-to-man now that you get Burks in there for another week. You get him more comfortable with the defense. And you don't have to blitz. You don't have to blitz to generate pressure with the front 4 of this Eagles lineup. And then, what we've seen, I know it's not comforting for this Eagles offense. What we've seen, I know that there's a lot of things that you could naysay about this offense, but at the same time, they're going up against the weakest defense that they've seen all playoffs long. The Lions just ran the ball for 8.7 yards per carry. I expect the Eagles to be north of 6. I don't have any reason to think that won't be the case. And another week of a massive advantage in the offensive trench. And when you go up against this weak run defense, the ability to turn around and pound the rock with a great running back, a dual threat quarterback, and way better offensive line than the defensive front. I mean, I'm right there with you. Obviously, I had the Eagles preseason plus 550 to win the NFC. I also had them to win the Super Bowl. And I added to that position last week with the Eagles to win the NFC at minus 125. But I still want action in this game. So right now what I do have is I have a teaser with the Eagles money line and the Bills plus 2.5. And I got that a little bit better odds, minus 118. And that's all I currently have in this specific game, but I wouldn't be mad about the spread. I wouldn't be mad about the under. I think there's a lot of reasons to like the under in a matchup like this with the better defense that we should see better performance on 3rd down.
If you were in my shoes, knowing that I'm going to receive money with my NFL futures regardless of the outcome here. Would you look for a middle? I just don't feel like it's the sharp side. And I feel like if I go into this game with Eagles plus 600 on the money line, I just, again, we're not talking about life-changing money. We're not talking about, we're just talking about an important bankroll pattern.
I've never seen one spot in the database where at least half of the money has been on the Commanders on the away team, and the lines move towards the road team through the 6. It's never happened. The only other like-kind markets was the cash was a little bit short. It was like in the 40s, and we've seen the home team absolutely hammer. I think the market is screaming the Philadelphia Eagles are the right side.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised to see most of our chat, and I know our chat's a little bit sharper than most chats, but I'd imagine a lot of the public sentiment towards the Commanders got to be through the roof.
Yes. Well, I mean, what we know right now, all we know right now is that, from the Action Network, is that 66% of tickets are on the Commanders. So 2 of every 3 tickets that have come in so far are on this Commanders on the spread. So it's a pretty
I got the money. I got the cash flow on this. You got the cash on that, right? Or you just got the bet?
Yeah, I got the cash as well. 66% of tickets, 54% of the cash. I don't. Obviously, I want more of the cash and less tickets. We all want that. That's the wheelhouse. But for me, I want to know that 2 of every 3 tickets are coming in on the Commanders. That just makes me comfortable here. And this is not a. I've had a really bad 48 hours, which looks like it's changing tonight, but. I've had a really bad 48 hours. That's not going to change anything. It's been a great 4 months. This is not I need this type of situation. I really feel good about having, in my perspective, the Eagles at plus 600 money line for this football game. And I think I'm going to leave it at that. But I do think I'm going to move on the under. I do think because it correlates. If you like the Commanders, you like the over. If you like the Eagles, you'll like the under. Is it that simple, Troy?
I think that makes a lot of sense. But you could argue that by saying the Eagles they're going to be a more protective, even if the Eagles are in the lead in the football game, the back door is always going to be open because they're not going to be blowing teams out. They're going to be playing slow and controlled offense, run the ball, keep it out of Jalen Hurts' hands. But I think that we're going to see some deep shots taken from because I think we're going to see Quinn stack the box and try to force Jalen Hurts to throw the ball downfield. And I have faith that he's going to be able to make the throws. But I will say this about the market. Teams that close between 5.5 and 6.5 with 50% or more of the bets on the road team, but the market moving towards the home team that we have in this spot are cashing at 70% ATS this season, 14-6 ATS, 80% straight up.
Yeah, I feel very good about the situation here. I'm also going to move on the under. I haven't done that yet. Dennis says, I think Washington correlates with the over. I agree. So I'm not going to add the double result. I'm not going to add the 5.5 or 6. I'm not going to add any of that. I'm not going to middle. But I will make just a regular 1 unit bet on the under, the full game under on this one. Troy and I, we each have the Eagles futures. If you guys remember the week before, I bet it the Eagles to win the NFC were plus 900. And I said on the show I was going to bet it. And I don't know what happened. I remember coming back the next week. I don't know. I was like, it wasn't that I didn't want it. I just sometimes I don't know. I have no excuse. And then
you said, I'm going to bet this tonight. You said,
yeah.
You did, but you still got it.
Yeah, but that's $1,500.
What is it? Minus 300 now. So
still that's 300.
I got $500 on the NFC conference. Between half of it on the 550, half on the minus 125. So I'm happy with that. I'm not asking for much after what I've been through this season.
All right. Troy has the Eagles money line, Buffalo plus 2.5. He's got the conference at plus 50. I only have the conference 600. I have no Super Bowl action. It's an in and out type deal for me, and it's my final future. And I'm really excited about it. That is the breakdown of the Commanders, Eagles. It's almost all, Eagles in our chat, but we have the Nuke Worker, Man Bear Pig with the Commanders, so it's not all Eagles here. And shout out to all of you guys. Thank you so much for rocking with us. Strategic Investments investments coming to us from the Dominican. We got Man Bear Pig, Dennis Garcia, the Nuke Worker, Harold Williams, Luke Burrow, Nanya, Rance, Ziggy, Maiden Philly. What a great group. Dougie Wise. Thank you guys. Gorky, Bet L1L. All you guys, thank you for rocking with us. Let's roll on. Game 2. We head to Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri. 30 Fahrenheit, cloudy, 2-mile-per-hour winds. Almost no winds. There's 0% precipitation for this, for both of the football games here in the conference finals. This is the AFC Championship. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We have the exact same number and the exact same juice as we do in Washington, Philadelphia. This is an under 48 at minus 112. The difference is that this has moved 16 cents towards the under to get to this point, under 48 minus 112. So we've had a 16-cent move to the under. It's under 48 minus 112 here, but I see 47.5 across the board. Let's get into the point spread. It's funny. There were 2s everywhere except for the books that I deem the sharpest. And we have a 1.5 at a pick'em. So at this point, this has moved 5 cents towards the Kansas City Chiefs. They open up minus 1.5, minus 101. They're now minus 1.5, minus 106. Let's take a look at the money line too. I think that will be helpful. The Chiefs right now are minus 123. They opened up at minus 118. So a 5-cent move on the money line, a 5-cent move on the spread as well. This opened up minus 118. The high water mark was this morning at 9:47 at minus 128. It's come back 5 cents, and that was just 14 minutes ago. So let's get into the cash flow and then set up the Buffalo Bills. From a cash flow perspective, on the spread, 72% of the tickets and 71% of the cash are on the Buffalo Bills. That surprised me. On the money line, 49% of the tickets and 58% of the cash are on the Buffalo Bills. On the total, 79% of the tickets and 83% of cash are on the over. Dennis Garcia says that he took Kansas City Chiefs, says nervy about it, but can't ignore Mahomes' track record in this point spread range. We will discuss that. I think that the Ravens would have given the Chiefs a much more difficult football game. No, much is a little much. Sorry. A more difficult football game. Let me just leave it at not much, but a more difficult football game. And then the Bills will deliver to the Chiefs. Let's start with the Bills. Passing offense was 11th in the league this year for yards, 224.3. Rushing offense, 9th at 136.2. Red zone offense is 2nd. The Bills' red zone offense with Josh Allen has been phenomenal, 68.4% touchdown rate. Their third down offense is 7th. They convert 44.7% of the time. Their passing defense has been a problem at times this year. They're 20th. They allow 222.5 yards per game. We'll talk about the Taylor Rapp injury as well. We don't know if he's going to be able to play or not, but he's not ruled out. Rush defense is 12th, 116.7 yards per game they allow. The red zone defense, middling, 16th in the league. They allow touchdowns 56.9% of the time. Their third down defense is 28th. They allow conversions 44.1% of the time. It's a problem. And they average 2.3 sacks a game. That is 21st in the league. The Bills head to Kansas City, where they've been eliminated twice in the past 4 years. Since 2021, when the Bills scored 21 points or more in the playoffs, they're 6-0 against teams that aren't named the Kansas City Chiefs. Against the Chiefs, they're 0-3. So they're 6-3 overall, but they've not beaten the Chiefs despite scoring over 21 points in those 3 games. Bills coming off a 27-25 victory at home over the Ravens. They were outgained. The Bills were outgained 416 to 273 in that victory. The Ravens averaged 7.3 yards per play compared to just 4.6 for the Bills. But the Bills won the turnover battle 3-0, and that's what led them to victory. Josh Allen was 16-22 for 127 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. He also ran 10 times for 20 yards. And 2 touchdowns. Khalil Shakir caught 6 passes for 67 yards. James Cook ran 17 times for 67 yards and caught 3 passes for 15 yards. The Bills were an impressive 3 of 4 in the red zone. The defense produced 3 turnovers, but it didn't look very good in other areas. The Ravens went 8 of 11 on 3rd and 4th down. 8 for 11. They went 7 of 10 on 3rd down, 1 of 1 on 4th down. 2 of 3 in the red zone. The pass rush was quiet. I mean, it wasn't that quiet. 2 sacks, 5 quarterback hits. Taylor Rapp had an interception before leaving with a hip injury and not returning. He's listed as questionable to play this weekend. Also, Christian Benford has entered concussion protocol. This is something that happened after the game. He played 98% of the Bills' defensive snaps and 5 tackles. He started all 17 games, and now he's in concussion protocol. A huge game. We imagine he'll clear the 5 steps, but this happened after the game, which is a little trickier than when it happens during the game, and you can pinpoint exactly what it was, and he had to leave. This was something that affected him after the game. But we know this Bills team is dynamic. NFL's first team to score 30 touchdowns, passing and rushing, and they did so without a receiver to go for over 900 yards. Now they have the league best plus 24 turnover differential. Is that because they have a ball hockey defense? Sure. Is that because they've been lucky? Yes. Josh Allen excels against the toughest defenses in the league. That's what makes him special, is that he steps up against the toughest defenses that he ever faces. He has faced a defense allowing less than 20 points per game 34 times in his career. This is a fascinating stat. So he's faced a top defense 34 times in his career. He's 27-7 straight up in those games. He's 26-7-1 against the spread in those games. He is the most profitable quarterback since 2003 in that situation. But there is a but. And this is a wild one. As much as that one's wild, this is wild. In Josh Allen's career, he has never won consecutive games straight up as a dog. Never. There have been 15 times in his career where he won the first game as a dog and went into the second straight game as a dog. And he's 0-15 in those spots. Take it away for us, Troy, the Buffalo Bills.
Talking about the Bills first. I wish we were talking about the Chiefs first. That set me up a little bit better. But the Bills are a team I have not been extremely high on. And it's really hard to start now. We talked about, I just think about Flash and his pub hub delivery of back in the Bills and how Lamar turns into Chokey McChokerson or whatever he deemed him to be. And he had the unforced fumble. I mean, he was getting tackled by his ankles. He puts his hands on the ground, which included the ball in his hands. He fumbles it, gifted 7 points, right? Returned to the red zone. Mark Andrews, again, this team just continues to shoot themselves in the foot. Fumbles the ball in the open field while the Ravens were driving to take the lead. And Mark Andrews strikes again after fumbling by dropping the 2-point conversion. But that probably wouldn't have been all that much at the end of the game. That was probably too little too late because there was 2 minutes left and Josh Allen had all 3 timeouts. But still, like you said, they outgained him in yards per play, 150 total more yards. They were better on third down. Terrell Bernard, this guy has problems. Guys like Milano, they're actually playing a lot better and they continue to grade out better. Guy like Terrell Bernard is absolutely getting blown away in the running game. And I think it's pretty crazy how the Bills did win that game, given what that box score looks like. I know it's just fumbles, right? It's taking care of the football. And I expect Josh Allen to take care of the football this week. I expect both quarterbacks to take care of the football. I think the Bills are the more complete team in this matchup. I don't know how much I have to sell you the offense. We are KC's defense. We'll get to that. But Josh Allen is having the best season of his career. Unlike Mahomes, who's having the worst season of his career, our guy Josh Allen's having the best season of his career in all the metrics you want to look at. Yards per attempt, 7.8, highest of his career. Touchdown interception ratio, turnover worthy play rate, passer rating, all those metrics, best of his career. I talked a little bit about Milano, who I watch very closely, and he's starting to return to form. He's graded out great 3 weeks in a row. I don't know what happened with him early. Maybe he just needed to get back accustomed to the game of football at the NFL level. But he went from a sub 50 grade in his first 3 weeks to an above 80 grade in his last 3 weeks. So not so much concerned about him. Bills run defense, I don't think Kansas City is going to be able to expose it. That was one of my biggest points with back in the Ravens was the run game and their ability to be able to get push against this weak defensive front. I don't think Kansas City is going to be able to expose that weakness. Bills pass defense, everything underneath. Don't give up big plays to Patrick Mahomes in this offense, who I don't think are capable of it anyway. And the pass rush, they've been on and off all season, but against this Kansas City team in week 11, they applied pressure on 37% of dropbacks. 3 times without blitzing, and all 3 of those turned into turnover-worthy plays. 2 of them were picks. They held this Kansas City offense, like everybody else does, to sub 5 yards per play, half yard below league average. And I'm definitely looking towards the Bills in this matchup, Jim.
I'm not. I'm not. But, the idea that in my head, this Chiefs defense is much better than the Bills defense, but that's not really the case statistically. Although they are better, but not much. But I have not moved on the Chiefs yet. Let's talk about those Chiefs. Passing offense 15th, 219.8 yards per game. Rushing offense 24th, 102.2. The red zone offense does not look good all year long. And we got a better sense of why that is in the last, in their victory on Saturday, their 23-14 victory at home over the Texans, because Kelsey caught 7 passes for 117 yards touchdown. Xavier Worthy caught 5 passes for 45 yards. DeAndre Hopkins, Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster. Brown, I think it was Brown was targeted twice. Hopkins and Juju Smith just once each, and none of them made catches. If these guys aren't going to be a healthy part of the offense, maybe the weapons that I may think they have, maybe they don't really have. Their third down offense is third in the NFL, and that's a Mahomes stat. He's able to get the yards when he needs them, 47.9% conversion rate. Passing defense 19th, 220.3 yards per game they allow through the air. Rushing defense 8th at 104.4. The red zone defense been very good all year, 7th in the league, 50.9% of the time they allow touchdowns, and their third down defense has been a problem, just like the Bills' third down defense has been a problem. Third down defense is 29th in the league at 44.4%. 2.6 sacks per game they get. They are healthier, much healthier, and have had more rest than the Bills. Let's talk about the two-time defending champion Chiefs are in the AFC title game for a 7th straight season. The 4th team in NFL history to win back-to-back Super Bowl championships, advance to the conference title game in that third year, and all 3 previous teams have lost. Mahomes is now 16-3 in the postseason. In home games in November or later, when the temperature is 40 degrees or less, 30 Fahrenheit at kickoff is the expectation. Mahomes is 23-2 straight up in his career. His losses came to Phillip Rivers in 2018 and Tom Brady in 2019. And Mahomes has won 20 straight playoff games since that loss to Brady. In January and February, Mahomes, either at home or at a neutral site game, is 15-2. The losses have come to Joe Burrow and Tom Brady. And Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs versus the Bills, as everyone knows, is 3-0, covering by an average of 5.9 points per game. The 23-14 victory at home over the Texans was underwhelming. The Texans outgained the Chiefs 336-212. Mahomes finished 16-25 for 177 yards and a touchdown, no interceptions. Kelsey caught 7 for 117 and a touchdown. We went over those receiver stats. Kareem Hunt ran 8 times for 44 yards and a touchdown. The Chiefs were just 4 of 11 on third down and 2 of 5 in the red zone. Not very impressive. The defense bent but didn't break. This is an uncomforting stat. Now, we know how bad they've been, against their third down defense has been bad all year. The Texans went 10 of 17 on third down, but they held the Texans to 1 of 3 in the red zone. The pass rush looked excellent, 8 sacks, 14 quarterback hits, and the Chiefs have that one-day rest advantage that the Commanders have as well. We talked about teams with the rest advantage are 26-16 straight up in the conference championship. What stat we didn't add on to that in the Commanders breakdown was home teams. Home teams are 20-7 with the rest advantage. So, road teams are 6-9. And then we heard Dennis Garcia talk about Mahomes in this price range as a favorite of 3 points or less. Which includes all games as an underdog and 3 points or less. Mahomes 27-9-1 against the spread. And then I want the under in all Patrick Mahomes games. Now I bet 4 unders last week and only cashed 1 of them. I lost 1 by a half point, but that was the Bills one. But in home starts with Mahomes, we cash unders nonstop, 61% in his career, 42-27-1. And then you have another interesting stat here. The Chiefs obviously got destroyed in week 18 when they rested everybody 38-0. Then they didn't cover again in the divisional round. Since 2000, 10 teams have made it to the conference championship on a 2 or more game against the spread losing streak, which the Chiefs have. Those teams are just 3-7 against the spread. back to the total here, and I'm sorry I mixed these notes up, but 6 of the last 7 Chiefs home playoff games have gone under. And again, when I read that the Chiefs haven't turned the ball over in 8 straight games, I didn't believe it. And I went through each game to ensure that the stat was correct. 8 straight games without a turnover? That's wild. Now you could say that's very clean football. You could say they've been very lucky. Take it away, Troy. You're 2-time defending champions trying to become the first team in NFL history to win 3 straight Super Bowls. Kansas City Chiefs.
They're not my champions. God damn it. They're not my damn champions. I have to say it. I can't. I got to put my foot down. I got to continue to put my foot down against this team. I mean, my plan was to martingale this thing all the way, and let the chips fall where they may, because I'm so confident that this team is mediocre. Both the Chiefs and the Lions got outplayed this past week. The Chiefs, once again, lucky enough to get the win. I'm sure everyone is sick of me at this point, especially if you're a Chiefs backer, raining on your parade that just continues to parade. Like, you're parading over my dead body at this point. I talk about the Chiefs. I don't know. I can't. Do I repeat myself again? Right? They should be 9-8, 10-7 this year. Win by a doink, a muff snap, a buzzer beater, block field goal. They win the coin flip in OT. They get a PI. They don't get a PI. Baltimore on the it just continues to go. And I talk about Patrick Mahomes. I alluded to it. He's having the worst season of his career. Look at passer rating, yards per attempt, highest pressure to sack rate. The offensive line is weak. We talked about how the Bills the Bills had their way with him in the first matchup. And this past week, they allowed 15 pressures on 47% of dropbacks. Mahomes had 2 turnover-worthy plays that didn't turn into turnovers, right? 0 interceptions. They just continued to avoid and evade the turnover luck. Fourth, their defense. Like, I don't know, man. It's really hard to put your finger on what you see and what you don't see. This is a league average defense. Whether you look at some of the numerical numbers, just numbers on a piece of paper, or you put it on film, I don't see an extremely great defense. I see a well-coached defense. I see a great defensive play caller. But when it comes to pass rush and run stop win rate for this defense, they're below league average, 18th and 16th. They got outgained in yards per play the last 10 games. Now you throw the Texans in. It was 9. Add another one. Here's 10. Below average EPA for this defense since week 7. And once again, this past week in the playoffs, they got outgained by 1 full yard this past week. And they had 4.2 yards per play. How long is this team going to continue to get away with it? What are we going to see this week? I don't know. Like, I go back and forth too, because it makes a lot of sense, the narrative, right? People don't want to believe in mob shit. People don't want to believe in people, the magical unicorn fairy dust, puppet master pulling the puppet strings. But I kind of have to believe it at this point, especially when you're watching this Chiefs team. How do they get these favorable calls? Like that play where Patrick Mahomes is dancing around, playing games with the defense, bouncing back and forth. The fact that they call that a penalty, he's a runner. He's like, at that point, you cannot throw the flag. I'm just absolutely sick of seeing the favoritism for this team. So is everybody else, obviously. And you've never seen the media take it to this level. I don't know what that's going to have, what kind of impact it's going to have on this game coming up. I have a feeling they're going to rub dirt in our faces, because guess what? At the end of the day, the NFL is an entertainment business. It's clear to me that that's exactly what they are. Shareholders come first, not the integrity of the competition. They want to see Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift. I guess Caitlin Clark's part of the scheme now too. I don't know how deep it goes and how deep it's rooted, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty damn deep based on what I've been seeing for 2 years now. And I don't want to take away like everything that they've done. Patrick Mahomes is great. The offenses and some of the teams that they've had have been incredible throughout the past. This is a league average football team. I think Milano is going to be a great matchup for Travis Kelce. Dennis, DG's in the chat talking about some facts. This Bills team was built specifically to win this game. They beat them in the regular season. Are they going to be able to do it again in the playoffs? I'm not sure what to expect fully out of this game. I much would have rather have had the Ravens. If the Ravens were in this matchup with the Chiefs today, I would be absolutely hammering the Ravens to a point where I would be completely levered on the Ravens in this matchup. I still like the Bears. The Bills. I think they have good matchups. I think Milano's a great matchup for Travis Kelce. Bernard is not going to be that big of an issue when their offensive line is kind of the musical chairs, trying to find guys to fit the right spots, even though they haven't been performing very well, especially when they go up against a competent defense. The run defense, I don't think they're going to be able to expose it. If I knew for a fact this game was going to be officiated with a 100% accuracy, I would be a little bit heavier. I did bet the Bills money line plus 110 and the Bills plus 2 at minus 110, but that's with a little bit less confidence than I would have had if the Ravens, and a lot less confidence after seeing the favoritism once again happen against the Houston Texans.
The call both penalties. First off, the hit to the head that wasn't, but the egregious one was the slide. There's no doubt about that. Interestingly enough, no quarterback in the NFL has been called for more fouls against than Josh Allen. He leads with 15-yard penalty calls against him. He has more roughing the passer penalties, Josh Allen, in his career than Tom Brady. Now, I know things were different for the first 10, 15 years of Brady's career. But that is, Tom Brady played a long time, and Josh Allen already has more roughing the passer penalties. Josh Allen leads the NFL in roughing the passer penalties this year.
Patrick Mahomes has already is leading the NFL history in turnovers called back from penalties, way more than Tom Brady, almost twice what Tom Brady's output was in an entire career.
No, I feel you. I was surprised. I heard that on the radio today, but I didn't know that Josh Allen led by that far of a margin. Now, he does put himself in dangerous spots a little more than Mahomes, but no, I look, the slide was unbelievable. And you feel bad for the defense, because then they're going to be very pensive, and you can't do that. He who hesitates gets injured. It's not he who hesitates is lost. It's he who hesitates gets hurt. And then now you're going to be hesitating around Mahomes, which could be a problem.
And that also, right, you hesitate around him, and then all of a sudden he scoots up the sideline for 20 more yards. Dude, I'll lose my mind. And I agree with Harold Williams in the chat. The Texans defense is much better than the Bills defense. But the problem is, you look at KC versus bad defenses, what have they done? They're below average in yards per play. They're below average in EPA per play. Like, they're still not putting up explosive plays. It's not like they've been incredible versus good or bad defenses this year.
There's a sentiment in the community right now that this line's going to go back to the Bills. Now, the Bills are getting more of the support on the spread. The money line's a 50-50 thing. I was surprised to hear that from a bunch of different people. What is your expectation in this line come kickoff?
I do not expect this line to touch 2.5. I expect it to stay around where it is. Chiefs, small home favorites. If it were the Ravens, I really believe this line would be Ravens -2, -2.5.
Well, I expect to bet the Chiefs here, and I wouldn't if the Ravens were playing them. So I'm going to expect to bet the Chiefs here, possibly this evening, just for a unit. I'm also interested in the under in this game as well. I gravitate towards unders, but if I like the Chiefs and I like the under, what do you think about the total in the AFC Championship?
I feel like I'm less confident in this total, but obviously I automatically lean under, especially in a game of this gravity. So I lean towards the under, but once again, we got these two quarterbacks who are, I know that it's a different day and age. It's definitely a different Chiefs offense, and it's 100% a different Buffalo offense with the way their scheme has changed over the past year and a half. All the schematic changes with this total at 47.5 looks egregiously high for a playoff game in Arrowhead, where we know the Chiefs have historically just gone under.
So, like Dennis says, KC will be the public side. I expect the public to come in and be all over the Chiefs. And when will that happen? What will that do to the market? I expect starting Thursday that the public will come in and hammer the Chiefs. Do you expect that as well?
Oh, absolutely. I expect that. But I do think that we do. I mean, we do have some public sentiment towards the Bills now, too. I mean, I don't think it's clear as day of how the public's going to respond, but you would have to imagine the Chiefs always win. My public gauges that I like to use, one of my good friends, my nephew, my father, KC, all the way.
Yeah. Yeah, and we know that it's just not that easy, but the Bills' victory was somewhat underwhelming.
Very underwhelming.
It's just that the best quarterback on the field is wearing a Buffalo Bills jersey.
Absolutely. And is that the same for the other way around? I mean, the Chiefs win extremely underwhelming.
Yeah.
But the best quarterback on the field was wearing a freaking red and white jersey.
Yes. And I expect that the best quarterback on the field at Arrowhead Stadium could be wearing a Bills jersey, and it still might not be enough. So it's a little different because as we watched Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews blow the game, and I don't mean the 2-point conversion, I mean the fumble. It's just at that point in the game, streaking towards the sidelines was, I already used the word egregious, but it's the first thing that pops in my mind. Like Mark Andrews is going to start, what? You're going to pick up another 10 or 15. What are you thinking? You got the first down. You got everyone to get down.
And he lifts his arm up. He chicken wings it. Like that is so bad. He's gonna have nightmares probably for the rest of his life.
Well, he wasn't able to talk to the media afterwards. It obviously affected him so deeply. Now he's more than that one play, obviously, but on the other hand, Mahomes and Kelsey were the exact opposite. I mean, they were just in control. Dougie White says, if the line closes the Chiefs -3 or more, I will hammer the Chiefs. There's I don't mean to be dramatic, but like Troy saying, this doesn't close at 2.5. If the public comes in and smashes the Chiefs, it closes at 2. There's just, I don't see a way that it gets to 3. But Newkirk is saying the same thing. Oh no, he said might go up, but it won't get to 3. Yes. All right, so I'm going to move on the under in both games. Am I simplifying things too much in that? Do you think I should pick the one I'm the highest on? I like them both.
Well, you know where I'm going to tell you about the side, but I've been absolutely dreadful in the playoffs. So it's hard for me to try to keep you off of it at this point, especially with what we've seen with the officiating and how things have progressed here with the Kansas City Chiefs. But I think the under is definitely a better play than the Chiefs.
I've never, and I don't bet teasers, as you know. I track everybody's action, and teasers not worked. But I mean, the Eagles Chiefs 6-point teaser to me is
Eagles Bills.
Not for me. It'd be Eagles Chiefs. Getting the Chiefs at +4 would be a really comfortable situation, and then having the Eagles just needing to win. The thing is that I've got the huge score if the Eagles win, and I don't need to get involved in it. But Dennis looking at the Eagles Bills teaser here. So at this point, I expect to bet both unders, and then I expect to bet the Chiefs, and do nothing with, not try to do anything with the Commanders, and there's just not enough money for me to get cold feet or need the cash or anything like that, because I've been on a nice run for 4 months. So that is the plan. That is Kansas City Chiefs, Buffalo Bills. Kansas City Chiefs, Buffalo Bills. Now, for our Super Bowl show, it will not be Bankroll Blitz. This is our final Bankroll Blitz of the season. We are going to start getting, we need to probably wait for the props to come out and things like that, but we'll be getting, 30 to 50 of our cappers to, we'll set them up and get them set up to give us a clip, and we will put them all together, and that will be our Super Bowl show. But our live stream on Sunday night will be Buffalo Bills at Kansas City Chiefs, and it'll be extremely enjoyable. Fernando Mendoza liking the Bills to advance. Nuke Worker with a Commanders Bills Super Bowl. That was written on X, Commanders Bills Super Bowl. And Dennis Garcia replied that, I mean, it would be the most boring Super Bowl possible. He said you need a villain. And that reply from Dennis, last time I saw, had like 400 likes and hundreds of retweets, and it was just popping off. Yes, strategic investments. I've collected the money from that San Jose game, but that's a different sport. We don't need to talk about that one. There we go. That is our final show of Bankroll Blitz Season 2. Our final show of Bankroll Blitz Season 2. First off, thank Jose Bouquet for working tirelessly behind the scenes. Our shows were going 3.5 hours, and he would have his own show Wednesday morning. Never one complaint ever. He cut all our videos up. By the time you were awake the next morning, he works tirelessly behind the scenes, and he is. I can't imagine doing this without having him producing these shows or doing anything without him. He's just as quality of a colleague as I could imagine. And as are you, Troy. I feel like I am evolving and becoming better and better and better as a gambler. My unit size has gone up a little bit now in the last year, which was very, very important to me. I want it to climb more than anything. There's nothing I really, want more than my unit size to climb. That's the only goal I really have in this industry, is for my unit size to climb. And I really feel like I have the opportunity to accomplish those goals working with you, Troy. So thank you for your insights and everything that you bring week in and week out. You're such a skilled capper. You're a class act, and you are accountable for every single thing that you do and say. And those are the types of people I just gravitate towards. So thank you for all that you've done here. I hope we get the opportunity to do this for season 3, my friend. And before I hand it over to you, I want to talk just about some of you guys in the chat that have supported us nonstop all year long and how much it means to us. Mitch Fearing, Strategic Investments, Dennis Garcia, AOD, Saturated, Jim Dewigger, Luke Burrow, The Nuke Worker, Harold Williams, Rants, Mac Beavers. Thank you guys so much. Truly. Fernando Mendoza, Slatsy, with Slatsy, Birdie, cappers that aren't here today that have brought so much to the table. Kripke, Dougie Wise, Maiden Philly. Thank you. Camille, thank you for being a part of this as well. We need more female cappers, so it means a lot that you join us. Man Bear Pig, Kent Davies, Random Bozo, all of you guys. We wouldn't be able to do this without you. So thank you so much for all the support you've given us throughout the year. I leave all of these shows inspired to work harder. That's every time I work with you, Troy, and work with our community. I want to work harder. I want to deliver more. I want to succeed. I just always leave inspired. So thank you very, very much for everything that you've brought. Spoon, my guy Morgan Spooner, Big Show, the Dab Father, Chill Will, Lil Domo, Maiden Philly, MMA Mad Hatter. Thank you guys. Troy, take us home for one final time this year on Bankroll Blitz, my man.
Yeah, I have mixed emotions about how this season went. Digging out of the 30-unit hole through week 4, climbing all the way up to plus 20 units about 2-3 weeks ago, and then the inevitable playoff slide down. And I'm sitting with 2.14 units. Let's finish around 10 units, get those futures home. That'll put me in a much better mood. It's really difficult to come up here and, and to continue to hammer and fire away when you're losing, and to have the faith that you bring, Jimmy and me, and everybody in the chat that gives me love and shows love. I really do put my heart into this shit. I love it. Just like you, Jim, my goal is to continue to build my unit size until I'm doing this full time. I'm about 2 bumps away. I got to 2x my unit size to get there. And that's what I'm working towards. And I just appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate working with you, just like you, Jim. I mean, you've helped me create something that I truly believe gives me an edge And I just started building one for the NCAA basketball. And I'm absolutely that actually flipped my emotions recently from being so sad that the NFL was ending. Now I have this massive sample that I'm building for college basketball, and then the MLB, where I'm already at 4,000 games of a sample size, damn near. So the future is bright. Pub Sports Radio, I say it every week, and I truly fucking mean it. Everybody in the chat, like, I love this community. It's the best community industry, and I really need this week, more important than ever, to finish strong and to go out there and to get that fucking money.